Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Merchah Kodash. I want to give double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. All right, I was basically watching the video, all right, that was done by the brother Ramath, and pretty much I got about maybe a minute, 2 minutes in, and I was just like, as I was watching the clip, all right, the video was titled, "These missiles literally look like horses running into battle." All right, and as I'm looking at the video, the precepts were coming to mind, so, I'm like, let me just do a response to it, even though it's, I'm probably going to bring out the same precepts, all right, that he probably brings out later in the video, all right, but nonetheless, all right, it's just, as you're watching it, you got to keep in mind how, as we always say this over and over again, this is thousands of years ago, right? So the Lord is showing, like, pursuant to the missiles, all right, that we usually, you'll hear about it in, like, there's one in the book of Joel, which I have, but you also have one in the book of Revelation and various parts. But when these prophets got these visions, understand that this is thousands of years before the invention of these things that they're seeing, and they're looking, and as Apostle Tahar always says, it's like they're in a hologram, like a holographic movie. So you're not just seeing things, you're hearing it. It's almost like you're there. Okay, so you looking to your left, you seeing, things flying over your head. You looking to your right, you hearing the sound of it. All right, you're seeing the destructive power, all right, of these things. Now, when you read in the book of Revelation, John, and even in the book of Joel, they both liken the missiles to horses and horsemen. Okay, because as the clip is playing, all right, I'm gonna edit the video so the clip will be playing in the background of this. But as you can see, if they're seeing something like this, right, missiles like this being shot off, with the way it's going and so on and so forth, the only thing that they can compare it to, all right, would be what they wrote down, as horses and horsemen running into battle. All right, and you're gonna see exactly what I mean when we go into the book of Joel, the second chapter. Now, this is the book of Revelation, chapter 1, verse 11, and it says, saying, "I am Alpha." All right, "I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last." All right, "What thou seest," all right, and this was being told to the Apostle John, all right, while he was on the island of Patmos. Okay, so it says, "What thou seest," so what you see, write in a book and send it onto the 7 churches which are in Asia, onto Ephesus, and onto Smyrna, and onto Pergamos, and onto Thyatira, and onto Sardis, and onto Philadelphia, and onto Laodicea. Okay, so these things that John saw, all right, he wrote down. John, it's impossible for John to have written, "Hey, I saw intercontinental ballistic missiles. I saw thermonuclear missiles. I saw hypersonic missiles being shot by Russia." All right, no, that the term Russia wasn't even known to him. Like these terms, remember, these are, number one, this is English. English wasn't even invented at that time. All right, and number two, these are things that were created, all right, in fairly modern days. All right, so if you look at that, the question is, now if you got this vision, what would you have described those missiles as? Think about it. Put yourself maybe 2,000 years back, or maybe more, maybe 4,000 years back, 3,000 years back, and think about all the different things you would have been exposed to. There ain't no such thing as cars, no such thing as the things we have today, right? Now, you had certain things that perform similar functions, all right, but the technological advancements that we have today, they didn't have back then. So if you were back then and you saw a clip like the one playing right now, what would you describe it as? What is the closest thing you can describe it as? And I'm not talking about just what it looks like, but imagine you're John and you're you're basically in this realistic movie hologram situation, and you're hearing the force of it, you're seeing it, you know, what is the closest thing you can compare? Not only the looks, but the intensity, the sound, the you know, the order, the rank, the way it's being shot off. You know, it's almost like being on a battlefield, all right, and then there's a charge given, okay, and once that charge is given, the horses. Now, when you look at the way horses, all right, or horsemen go into battle, you'll see the two sides, right? Or maybe one side, and they're all in array, they're all in, you know, in formation, and they're all next to each other. And then when the charge is given, you have the first line that goes, followed by the second line, followed by the third, followed by the fourth, followed by all them that go after, you know. Now, if they're charging straight ahead, they all go in the same direction. Or some that are further back will go, you'll see the ones in the front will go first, straight ahead. Then some that are further back, the ones on the right wing will start coming from the right. Then the other ones will start coming from the left. But as you zoom out and you're looking at these men on horses running towards their target, that's really what you could liken these nuclear missiles onto. Okay? So it says here, and then it will say out of their head, and with their head they did damage, because that's the frontal region of it, all right, where those nuclear warheads are at. So now let's go to the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 4. And now this is Joel describing, let's actually start at verse 3. All right, this vision of this thermonuclear destruction. Now he says in verse 3, a fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. Okay, and that's because the what's in their front, their head, those nuclear warheads is what they use, all right, on impact to destroy. Okay, so ahead of them, all right, when they hit, all right, it's with that force that they devour the land with fire, and behind them a flame burneth. Okay, behind them being that where the fire that propels these missiles, you know, to go. When they're shot off, you're gonna see that flame behind it pushing it, okay, with that speed. And then you'll see the little trails, okay. And it says, the land is as the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness. All right, just look at a simulation of missiles hitting a place. You know, it completely decimates it. It says, yea, and nothing shall escape them. All right, verse 4. Now he describes the appearance of these things that he's seeing. Okay, now it says the appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen so shall they run. Now, like we were all taught, we know about similes and metaphors, right? So let's say simile, right? Definition. And it says here, simile, a figure of speech involving the comparison of one thing with another thing of a different kind, used to make a description more emphatic or vivid. Okay, and they'll teach you similes. The comparison words that you see are usually like or as, right? The main ones. So when somebody says it was like this, that's a simile. They're comparing one thing to another using the word like. Or when they say it was as this, they're comparing it. So what Joel is saying here is, these things that I saw, I'm comparing them to the closest thing that I can think of, which is as the appearance of horses. Not only is that what they look like, but that's the feel that I got, from the formation to the destruction, to the force, to the power, to the look, to the way they were one behind the other, you know, in rank. So he says, and as horsemen, so shall they run. Okay. It says, like the noise of chariots on the top of mountains shall they leap. Like the noise of a flame that devoureth the stubble, and as a strong people set in battle array. Now, you know this is not talking about actual people, because what person do you know that has a fire burning behind them? You know? You know, what person do you know that has a fire burning behind them? What horse's tail is on fire. And what horse do you see running into battle with his tail on fire? Okay. It says, before their face the people shall be much pained. All faces shall gather blackness. So you can imagine him seeing people in the land, maybe in Babylon, in America, and they look up and they're seeing these missiles coming in. Maybe they're looking ahead and they're seeing like you may be in New York and you may see a missile just fly over you and go and hit maybe Nevada or go and hit California. All right, and you feel the quaking of the earth. As you're seeing them fly, some coming your way, you're gonna, like it says, their faces shall be much pain. So when people see these missiles and see the force and the might they're coming with, they're gonna be afraid. Okay. Verse 7 says, they shall run like mighty men. All right, and that's what you're seeing. They're running like mighty men. Okay. They shall climb the wall like men of war. They shall march every one on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks. Okay, so as you see how these, the formation, how they're moving, one isn't crashing into another. All right, they're all moving. If there's four in one row, all four are going. Then followed by the next four, followed by the next four. And it's just constantly being shot off just like that. All right. It says, verse 8, neither shall one thrust another. Okay, so one missile ain't gonna look to the right and say, oh, oops, and then just boom, crash into another one. It says, they shall walk everyone in his path, as you're seeing. Okay, the ones on the right are going just like that. The ones in the middle are going just like that. The ones on the left are going just like that. And when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. Okay, and then it goes on, so on and so forth. Okay, but this is just a quick couple of verses showing you why, or when we break this down and we tell you that the nuclear missiles are in the Bible, obviously it's not written as nuclear missiles. All right, but this is like an example of a precept that proves nuclear missiles are in the Bible. But the video is showing you why they're written and likened onto horses, likened onto horsemen. All right, because the terms weren't existent at that time. But this is what you can compare it to. Just like John in the beginning of Revelation 9 compares the fighter jets and the dog fighters that they used in World War I to locusts, because of the way they looked, the sound they were making, the formation they were flying in. Okay, it's impossible for him to have said these were Brigade A2s or this or no. All right. He's looking at it. He's saying, "Oh, that looks like what's that? You ever seen a locust before? Yeah, that, like that." You're comparing it. If you don't know what something is, you compare it to something that you do know. That's how you give examples. Okay. When I saw it, it was so crazy. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. It was like, you ever seen like imagine like a car but without wheels and with wings. So obviously what you saw wasn't a car with wings, but that's the closest thing you can compare what you saw to in order to give an image, all right, to whoever it is you're trying to explain it to. All right, so it's similar in this instant. Now, this is the book of Revelation, chapter 9, verse 16. It says, and the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, which is 200 million. And I heard the number of them. Now, John isn't, these aren't actual horses. Okay. It says, it's the same with Joel 2. Okay, verse 17, and thus I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire, and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions. Now, what horse have you ever seen with a head of a lion? Do the scriptures not say that there's one kind of flesh for each kind of beast? So why in the hell would the Most High create a horse with a lion's head? Okay, there is no such thing. All right, it says so it says here, and thus I saw the vision. I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on them, having breastplates of fire. So you're gonna have somebody, a dude, a horseman with a breastplate of fire. His horse is also gonna have a breastplate of fire. He's not gonna be burnt, right? And of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions. So you got a horse with a lion's head, a rider with a breastplate of fire, along with the horse, right? It says, and out of their mouths issued fire. So now the horse, it's a horse with a lion's head that breathes fire. A fire-breathing lion-headed horse with a rider who's immune to burns, right? And smoke and brimstone. And guess what? You're going to have these Christians who read this and they'll think it's literal. Yeah, there's going to come a day the Antichrist is going to claw his way. First, there's going to be a big-ass beast with 7 heads, literally, and it's going to crawl out of the Vatican, and then the Antichrist is going to be sitting on the beast. But then when you got to be careful, because when you look up, you're going to see a fire-breathing, lion-headed horse with a dude on it with a breastplate of fire. Yeah, it says that, Revelation 9:17. All right, so it says, by these was the third part of men killed, by the fire, and by the smoke, and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. And that's those nuclear warheads. Okay, so it's not literally talking about, oh, it gets even better. Verse 19, for their power is in their mouth, and in their tails, for their tails were like unto serpents. Oh, okay, so now the horse that has a lion's head that breathes fire has a snake's tail. Okay, it says, and had it says for their tails were like unto serpents, and had heads, and with them they do hurt. Yep, this is exactly what we're gonna see. Come on, man. This is talking about, all right, thermonuclear missiles, all right, ICBMs, and basically what you're seeing in your background, and that's why the time that we're in now, all right, and the times that we're headed for is going to be a time like never before, all right, because even prophets in the Old Testament, prophets in the New Testament, they all got visions pertaining, all right, to this time that we're living in now. All right, shows you how impactful, all right, this time is going to be in all of history. Okay, so with that, I'm ended here. Lord willing, this was edifying unto the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Ruach HaKodesh. Until next time, Shalom.